Professor Shelton U Kodikara occupies a singular place in the intellectual and academic history of Sri Lanka. Scholar, teacher, diplomat, institution builder, and pioneer of international relations as a discipline in Sri Lanka, he dedicated his life to understanding and cultivating the forces that shape relations between states and societies, and to cultivating generations of scholars and practitioners who would continue their pursuit long after him. Having had his early education at St. Joseph's College, Colombo, his academic journey began at the University of Ceylon, where he graduated with a bachelor's degree in history in 1951. This marked the beginning of a distinguished scholarly career that would take him to some of the world's most prestigious institutions and establish him as a leading authority on Sri Lankan foreign policy, South Asian politics, and international relations. In 1952, Professor Kodikara became the first Sri Lankan to obtain a master's degree in international relations from the University of Denver in the United States, a remarkable achievement at a time when the study of international affairs was still in its formative stages in much of the post-colonial world. His pursuit of knowledge continued at the London School of Economics and Political Science, where he completed his doctoral studies in 1962. His dissertation examined Indo-Ceylon relations, a subject that would remain central to his intellectual life and become one of the defining themes of his scholarship. Over the decades that followed, Professor Kodikara emerged as one of Sri Lanka's most respected scholars and educators. His academic career spanned several institutions and numerous leadership roles. At the University of Ceylon and later the University of Peradeniya, he served as senior lecturer in history, head of the Department of Political Science, dean of the Faculty of Arts, and president of the university. A defining milestone came in 1986 when he was appointed as the University of Colombo's first professor of international relations. This marked a historic moment for the discipline in Sri Lanka.
Professor Shelton Kodikara was my guru when I was an undergraduate at the University of Peradeniya in the late 1960s, and subsequently I joined the University of Colombo. Let me go back to the 1985. When Professor Stanley Vijayasundara was a Vice Chancellor at the Colombo University, the Department of History and Political Science established the Master's degree in International Relations in collaboration with the American University in Washington, D.C. Now, Professor Kodikara was considered the doyen of international relations in the country, and at the time he was Professor of Political Science at the University of Peradeniya. So we invited him to join the Colombo University, and fortunately he accepted the offer and became the first Professor of International Relations in the country. His presence added so much prestige to the Master's degree in International Relations, which was the first of its kind in the country. Now, under the Faculty of Exchange program, Professor Kodikara went to the American University to teach there, and in his place, Professor Nick Conniff came to Sri Lanka. Professor Nick Conniff is considered one of the founders of the theory of constructivism, and he completed his famous book, World of Our Own Making, when he was in the Colombo University. With the support of the Ford Foundation, Professor Kodikara organized 3 seminars with foreign participation, and he edited 3 books as a result.
Professor Kodikara's reputation as a scholar extended far beyond Sri Lanka. A recipient of a Ford Foundation Fellowship, Professor Kodikara also held visiting appointments at some of the world's leading universities. His academic engagements included the American University, the University of California, Berkeley, the University of Denver, Florida International University in the United States, the LSE and Queen Elizabeth House at Oxford University in the UK, JNU and Rajasthan University in India, and the ANU in Australia. These appointments reflected the international recognition he earned through the quality of his scholarship and his deep understanding of South Asian politics and international affairs. In 1992, This recognition reached another milestone when he became the first SARC visiting professor at the University of Delhi, an honor that underscored his standing as a scholar of regional significance. Professor Kodikara also played an important role since 1975 in the development of the Bandaranaike Center for International Studies, BCIS, teaching Sri Lanka in world affairs and contributing to the growth of Sri Lanka's only institution for the study of international affairs at the time. In recognition of his distinguished service, the BCIS later conferred upon him an honorary fellowship. Throughout his career, he remained closely engaged with public affairs and policy. Between 1975 and 1977, he served as Sri Lanka's Deputy High Commissioner in Madras, bringing academic insight to the practice of diplomacy. He also contributed to important national initiatives, serving on the 1972 Constitution Drafting Committee, the Education Reorganization Commission, and the Lakshman Kadirgama Committee on India Policy. His intellectual legacy is perhaps best reflected in the body of work he produced over several decades. His landmark publication, Indo-Ceylon Relations Since Independence, published in 1965, remains an important contribution to the study of bilateral relations in South Asia. This was followed by Strategic Factors of Interstate Relations in South Asia in 1979 and Foreign Policy of Sri Lanka, a Third World Perspective in 1982, of which an enlarged edition was published in 1992. Professor Kodikara also played a leading role in collaborative scholarly projects in South Asia. Among these were the volumes Indo-Sri Lanka Agreement of July 1987, South Asian Strategic Issues, Sri Lankan Perspectives, and External Compulsions of South Asian Politics. His final major contribution, Domestic Politics and Diplomacy, a study of linkage politics in Indo-Sri Lanka relations, was published posthumously in 2008, ensuring that his intellectual voice continued to inform scholarship even after his passing in 1994. Furthermore, together with Professor K.P. Misra, he had initiated the compilation of documents on Sri Lanka's foreign policy 1947 to 1965, an archival undertaking that would later be completed and published in 2005 under the editorship of Professor Amal Jayawardena. Along with the books he wrote and the lives he influenced, an important part of Professor Kodikara's enduring legacy lies in the institution he helped create and was to become the pioneer executive director of in 1992, the Regional Center for Strategic Studies.
As a MA student under Professor Shelton Kodikara and a founder member of the RCSS, my recollection is that the establishment of RCSS reflected Professor Kodikara's conviction that South Asia required independent spaces for research, dialogue and critical reflection on the challenges confronting the region, and that Sri Lanka was an ideal location given its geographic centrality as well as good relations with all South Asian countries and also extra-regional powers. This was encouraged by South Asia scholars who joined the RCSS's International Research Committee along with some extra-regional South Asia watchers and also contemporaries of Professor Kodikara in Sri Lanka who joined the board of the RCSS. From its inception, the RCSS sought to transcend the conventional understanding of security and covered both the traditional and non-traditional aspects of security. And it also embraced the broader vision, one that linked strategic affairs and human security, democratic governance, environmental sustainability, technological developments, peace building and regional cooperation. The participation in the RCSS's flagship 2-week summer and winter workshops, as well as coveting the Kodikara Award and the Mahabubul Haq Award annually presented by RCSS, was an important catalyst to many South Asia scholars of that era.
Guided by successive executive directors drawn from within the region, as one of South Asia's oldest and leading foreign policy and strategic studies research centers, the RCSS has retained its independence and commitment to evidence-based research. Today, the RCSS continues to advance this founding vision, guided by its board of directors, with a well-qualified and dedicated team of researchers and professional staff, persevering in its effort to encourage inquiry, build bridges between academia, policy practitioners and communication elite, as well as to nurture young scholars. The revival of the RCSS Policy Studies series has strengthened the Institute's contribution to scholarship, creating new opportunities for research and policy engagement on issues affecting South Asia, the wider Indo-Pacific region, and the Global South. The inauguration of a quarterly RCSS Strategic Dialogue series has brought together eminent globally and regionally recognized speakers to deliberate on major current issues of significance, reaffirming the RCSS's commitment to fostering informed public discourse and being a platform for advocacy. The renewed collaboration with well-established South Asian regional networks, the GPAC and the COSAT, while also expanding partnerships with international networks such as the Canadian Asia Pacific Policy Project at Thompson Rivers University and the UAE's Interregional for Strategic Analysis in Abu Dhabi, has enabled academic exchange and policy dialogue across regions. The RCSS will also be entering into an MOU shortly with the South Asian University, based in New Delhi, India, to facilitate academic collaboration and research on strategic and security issues affecting South Asia, seeking to bring young scholars of South Asia into closer contact. The recent institution of a RCSS alumni network has also reconnected generations of former researchers and practitioners whose wide-ranging expertise has been an asset, widening the pool of personal and institutional resources the RCSS can leverage, and also expanding its reach. The ongoing upgrading of the Professor Shelton U Kodikara Library is preserving and expanding an invaluable resource for scholars of international relations, strategic studies, and South Asia studies. Through these endeavors, the RCSS carries forward the Kodikara vision and the values that continue to define the institution: intellectual rigor, methodological diversity, integrity, inclusiveness, accountability, creativity, and a steadfast commitment to peace and social justice. More than 3 decades after its establishment, the RCSS stands as a living testament to Professor Kodikara. In every dialogue convened, every publication produced, every partnership forged, and every young scholar inspired, the legacy of Professor Shelton U Kodikara continues to shape the future of strategic thought in Sri Lanka and South Asia.